A pleasure that you could join us this afternoon here on The Bulletin. I am Mawina Egbeta. The details shortly. 4,000 personnel into the Ghana Armed Forces has entered its second day, marked by a more coordinated and orderly approach. More than 1,000 applicants have queued at the Awak Sports Stadium, undergoing document verification and body screening as part of the selection process. Stanley Niblo is currently monitoring the exercise and will join or bring viewers live updates right now. We're connecting with Stanley via the phones, and you can understand why this has become a subject matter of interest following that unfortunate incident from last week. We've subsequently seen a return to the process for the selection of the individuals. But let's connect with Stanley right now. Stanley, you report of a more coordinated activity today. Talk to us about it and the applicant and what they are expected to be doing.
So, Mawina, so you know the no right there. And you know, because of the incident that led, the stampede that led to the loss of 6 lives at the Awak Sports Stadium, this actually prompted the leadership of the Ghana Armed Forces to recourse to the drawing board to re-strategize and then resume the process for the recruitment. And I must say that the leadership had actually brought on board a very coordinated approach to the recruitment exercise. And so when you go to the Awak Sports Stadium, as I speak, everything is going on smoothly. Ideally, that was the original plan, the coordinated approach, except that the first day, the numbers that actually trooped in were too much, and they weren't able to actually manage the numbers. And so this time around, they have designated 2 centers at the Awak Sports Stadium, and each center is supposed to daily screen 800 applicants. So in effect, today, a number of 1,600 applicants are supposed to go through the process at the Awak Sports Stadium. When I was there, the process was smoothly ongoing. Everybody is actually comporting him or herself, and there are also designated military personnel who are coordinating the processes right from the time the applicant enters the auditorium or the premises of the Awak Sports Stadium. They are actually offered a seat at one of the tents for them to relax, and then when it is their turn to go through the process, a military officer would actually call them to be in a queue to march to the table to have their documents verified. From there, they will also proceed to another withholding center where they will relax, and then when it is their turn again, they will be ushered into a room where the body selection process will also take place. So I must say that the process is actually ongoing smoothly. By Monday, it is expected that 20,000 applicants will be catered for. We understand that some 60,000 people actually applied for the 4,000 slots that the Ghana Armed Forces is actually recruiting. And 4,000 out of 6,000 is quite a huge number.
Right.
And so by 20,000, they are also giving fair platform to everybody to go through the process. So by Monday, the leadership of the Ghana Armed Forces and those who are in charge of the recruitment would have actually expecting to attend to about 20,000 of the applicants. So we have at the Awak Sports Stadium, we have Captain Tay. She is actually with the Public Affairs Directorate of the Ghana Armed Forces. And
right.
She has been speaking to me, so we can take a listen to what.
Stanley, we'll take a listen. We'll take a listen to her shortly. Just a bit of an issue in being able to hear her right now. But there's been an update as well provided in relation to the persons hospitalized. What's that update as you got it?
Yes, so I was also able to speak to the captain about the number of the people, those who got injured from the stampede and were admitted at the 37 military hospital. So when the incident happened, we were told that some 28 people were brought in, 5 were in critical condition, 12 were in fairly critical condition, and the others were also treated. But I must say that currently, most of the injured who were receiving treatment at the 37 military hospital had actually been attended to. They've been stopped by a huge number had actually been discharged, and currently we have about 11 out of the 28. We have 11 on admission at the 37 military hospital, and for them, according to information that I'm getting from the officers, they are also responding to treatment, and very soon they are hopeful that they will also be discharged.
Let's take a listen to the captain that you managed to speak to on both subject matters. But thank you very much, Stanley.
Since the applicants arrived this morning, they were ushered straight into their seats. And the process began as early as 6 a.m. this morning. Applicants in Team 1 are led to the documentation center where the tables are set up for Team 1. And then applicants in Team 2 are also led to the area that is designated for them. Once the documentation is done, they are led to another holding area to await the body selection. The body selection is carried out by personnel from the Public Health Division of the 37 Military Hospital. Okay. Yes. And they will be looking at their height, weight, various characteristics and features of the body. Okay. Yes, flat-footedness, whether they have certain visible scars, etc. The next thing would be that they'll receive, those who are deemed to be fit to proceed to the next round will receive messages to inform them of the next phase of the recruitment exercise, which would be a fitness test or a trade test depending on the various qualifications or criteria that they applied for. Okay. This is how the entire process was supposed to be. However, after last week's instances, some amendments have been made to the plan and it has worked well so far. Okay. But this was the original plan. This is how the recruitment is usually conducted.
Let's move away from that. And 3 Foundation and management of Media General have started a fundraiser to help secure an accommodation and a shop for 32-year-old domestic violence victim Harriet Amuzu to empower her economically. Meanwhile, Harriet has been taken to a safe haven following an intervention by the Gender Minister and the Ghana Police Service.
Harriet Amuzu's story got many Ghanaians talking, highlighting the need to curb the canker of domestic violence in society. I was at a funeral on Saturday in my hometown when he called to say that my younger son was ill and that I must return to cater for him. I only came home to find the kids playing and asked why he lied to me. At night, he wanted to have sex with me. I refused because we've been estranged for 5 months. He told me that he had set a trap for me. He wanted to kill me.
They are handling the criminal aspect of it, and so we'll take the needed steps to ensure that she's also okay. She's healthy and strong, and then we can look at economically how to support her whilst this case is also being handled by the police.
Economic empowerment is important for survivors of domestic violence as it provides them with the needed resources to regain control over their lives. To help Harriet gain financial independence, 3 Foundation, the corporate social responsibility arm of Media General, has started a fundraiser inviting Ghanaians to join hands to help secure an accommodation and shop for Harriet Amuzu. Viewers can send donations to 3 Foundation's Momo number 059 74 33 110, reference Harriet Amuzu. You can also send your donation to Three Foundation's Zenith Bank account number 6010603927, or by personally bringing your donation to Mida General at Desawe Kanda. Let's come together to help Harriet break free from the cycle of abuse and build a great future. No amount is too small.
Still on the subject matter, the chair of the Women's Caucus in Parliament, Comfort Doyo, has described as unfortunate the physical abuse meted out to the 32-year-old domestic violence victim, Harriet Amuzu. She's advised women not to avoid red flags while in relationships, urging the Ghana Police Service to act with urgency when cases of domestic violence are reported.
Very unfortunate. And as we've seen this one, it's not the only one. There is a lot that is not in the public domain. And women should be extra careful when it comes to toxic men. Toxic men cannot change. You cannot change any man. So don't stay in toxic marriage and assume that that man is going to change. The moment you realize, normally we pick the red flags before marriage, but we assume that we can change them. How can you change somebody who have been trained by his parents for years, and you met the person, you said, I will change? You can't change him. So the moment you see that red flag, you are a girlfriend, you are not married yet, and the beatings have started, please pack yourself somewhere. She said even in front of the police, the husband beaten her. Why should it be so? What is it that you cannot arrest this man and caution her, ask him to sign bond? What is it that the dorsal unit of Tesano, is it Tesano police station, cannot come in and said, woman, this marriage is not safe for you. Find a place. If the man needs you, he should come there and visit you. What is it that they cannot advise?
Well, we're staying on subject matters relating to this because the Wager Divisional Police Command has commenced investigations into the tragic death of a 13-year-old girl, Celestine Adontain, who was allegedly subjected to severe physical abuse by her father, Isaac Adontain, at Kokrobite. Preliminary investigations indicate that the suspect physically assaulted the victim with a cane, a metal pipe, and other objects after accusing her of taking food belonging to her younger siblings. Despite the victim sustaining multiple injuries, the suspect failed to seek medical care and kept her confined in a room. Police, acting on a complaint, proceeded to the residence where the victim was found unconscious. He was rushed to the police hospital but was pronounced dead on arrival. The body has since been deposited at the police hospital morgue for preservation and autopsy. And the suspect, Isaac Adontain, a 54-year-old Mason, has been arrested and detained to assist with investigations. Exhibits retrieved from the scene include a cutlass, a metal pipe allegedly used in the assault, and the Accra Regional Police Command strongly cautions parents and guardians against the use of excessive force in correcting children, as such actions are unlawful and can lead to tragic outcomes. The command is further urging the public to report all forms of child abuse and domestic violence promptly for swift intervention and the protection of victims. Away from this now, and lead proponent of the Proper Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill, John Ntim Fodjo, has expressed disappointment over the continuous delay in programming the Anti-LGBTQ plus bill for its lane and passage. He says there seems to be a deliberate attempt to frustrate the process in passing the bill, adding that it creates a wrong impression about Parliament. And he's made the calls that the bill be advertised for next week, barely few days after the President boldly assured the public that he would sign the bill into law once the House passes it.
And it's been 6 weeks since the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill, Private Members Bill, was featured on the order paper. The next day it was removed and some disputed reasons were given. A week after, the Speaker of Parliament gave a ruling, very clear, and the records Hansard captures it, that nothing prevents the bill from being laid. It is 5 weeks from the time that Mr. Speaker gave that ruling. And since then, no attempt has been made by this House to have the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill to deal with the canker of LGBT devastating our norms and culture in this country, threatening our family values. And there seems to be a very conspicuous silence on this. Mr. Speaker, the House must not create the impression that what was a priority in the 8th Parliament, a priority to the 275 members of Parliament, has suddenly been thrown under the carpet and has suddenly been jettisoned by the 9th Parliament. We debated it and we concluded. The controversy was resolved. Speaker declared that the bill has to be featured on the order paper. So the attempt by this government, by blocking this bill and blocking it from being featured, is a big disappointment to the people of this country, to the over 93% of Ghanaians who believe that marriage is between man and woman. It is a big disappointment to them. We demand that if it was oversight or error, it must be added to the order paper so that next week it is laid and presented for first reading, because on record it has satisfied all the processes by the dictates of our standing orders and has been duly approved to be presented, laid for first reading and consequential referrals. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well, there was a quick fire response to that demand, and the Majority Leader, Mahama Ayariga, has assured that government is ready to get the law passed and implemented. He cautioned against conspiracies that the NDC is reluctant to approve the bill.
We are all very committed to the passage of the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill. If you recall, a couple of weeks ago when we debated this, I was the person who insisted that the fastest way to have this passed into law is to take a position that this Parliament has already passed it. So what is left is signature. And I recall many on your side arguing against my position, and so Speaker ruled, and he ruled that so far as he is concerned, the life of the 8th Parliament had elapsed, and this is a new Parliament, and once it wasn't signed, it had to be reintroduced afresh and taken through all the stages. So if you had listened to my advice and sided with me in the debate in this House, that we should treat it as having been passed by this House, and that once it is passed by this House, it is not part of businesses that have elapsed. By now we would have left it squarely in the hands of the presidency to sign. But because I didn't get that support from you, the position became that it hasn't been passed, and so we must take it through all these processes. So if there's anybody committed to this legislation being passed, clearly it is me and then the people on this side, especially to have it passed expeditiously. Now, you decide that it should be freshly considered by this House, and I think that at this point, the Speaker indicated that it is going through the mail and will come back to this House. And so it is not an attempt by government. Not an attempt by government. And President John Dramani Mahama has indicated time and again that any moment that the bill is brought before him, he will expeditiously sign it.
I stay on the subject matter because the legislature continues to face intense public scrutiny over the controversial bill currently being debated. Proponents are worried it will take another term of parliament for it to be passed and want Ghana's legislature to fast-track the passage. Edith Kranting put together this report. The proposed legislation seeks to criminalize same-sex relationship, LGBTQ plus advocacy, and what it describes as promotion of unnatural sexual acts. If passed, offenders could face prison sentences, a move that has sparked sharp criticism from human rights groups, civil society organizations, and sections of the international community. Proponents of the bill, however, insist the bill in its current form reflects the moral and cultural beliefs of majority of Ghanaians. Bashiru Sule emphasizes the bill is about preserving Ghana's moral foundation.
The Ghanaian or African culture is hostile towards this particular bill. What we know in total is a man getting married to a woman or a woman getting married to a man. That's what we know. And with the introduction of this particular thing coming from the Western world, it becomes a problem for us to comprehend or cope with this particular thing. So I believe it is not wise that we practice such a thing.
Sociologist Dr. Albert Kpo says the LGBTQ plus bill is not just about sexuality, but how Ghana defines its values in a globalized world.
So far as I'm concerned, homosexual behavior is not in sync with Ghanaian social norms and Ghanaian social culture, and it will take a long time for people to accept it. Then you also have the religious aspect. Ghanaians are also very religious. So maybe with time, people may try to understand it. But as it stands now, a lot of Ghanaians consider homosexual relationships as something that is reprehensible.
A Ghanaian who identifies as a homosexual shared his concerns.
I'm a proud member of LGBT. I'm a gay. I'm proud of it. In my community, that's why I've been doing it and it. If they pass the bill, so I'm not panic on this. Yeah. So my fellow colleagues, some of them, they are panic on the bill. So I'll advise them to be patient on what government will tell them.
Member of Parliament for Asin South, Reverend Tim Fodjo, insists the bill will be passed by the 9th Parliament.
We are asking NDC government, where is the Human Sexual Rights Bill, which had gone through all the processes and approved? This goes clearly to indicate that there seems to be a clear attempt by NDC government to run away from this bill.
While concerns are mounting about potential economic and diplomatic fallout, one thing is clear: the generality of the Ghanaian population wants the bill passed, and Parliament has the onerous task. Let's take you to Parliament right now, where the MPs have resumed debate on the 2026 budget statement delivered by the Finance Minister last week. I understand on his feet right now is Reverend Tim Fodjo. Let's take you there right now.
Prioritize the purchases and installation of intrusive narcotic detective scanners. Mr. Speaker, in the budget, there is no indication of those. Is it an indication that those matters we have been raising, which you were denying, is it an indication that green light must be given for all to do what they want? Let us tighten the borders and ensure we invest into the fight against narcotics. Mr. Speaker, the Ghana Prison Service have introduced strong innovations, going industrial, going agri, and going health. We were expecting that there will be allocation in the budget to be able to retool them in obtaining agricultural equipment, in obtaining industrial equipment, so that Ghana Education Service can some of the uniform of our children to the Ghana Prison Service, even as a way of IGF. There is no indication of that. But as I conclude, Mr. Speaker, the goods and services already inadequate allocation in here, we are pleading that it should not be, the trajectory of releases should not be like we saw in the year under review. There should be adequate releases commensurate with the needs. Let us not starve our security agencies. Let us invest and prioritize our security agencies. For Ghana is all we have, and it is.
Fellow members, it's now the turn of Honorable James Agalga. You are speaking for 15 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My ranking member, Reverend Ntim Fojo, the former Minister for Defense, Dominic Nitiwol, and Honorable Abu Jinapo, the member for Damango, in contributing to this debate, appear to be singing from the same hymn sheet. But, Mr. Speaker, there are a lot of inaccuracies that I would want to clear before I proceed to raise my substantive points before the House this morning. First of all, Reverend Ntifojo says there is rising insecurity in this country, but he failed or omitted to furnish this House with statistics. Mr. Speaker, previously, when the NPP administration was in power, I had the opportunity to debate their budget. I furnished this House with statistics, crime statistics, and struck comparisons between how the NDP in 2016-2012 thereabout fared and how the NPP fared starting from 2017 all the way to the time they left power. I furnished this House with statistics. But he did not furnish us with statistics. All he said was that it's rising insecurity in Boko, Sampa, elsewhere. But the Boko conflict did not start. In fact, the conflict escalated under the watch of President Bado before he left office. Mr. Speaker, because tensions are very high in Boko, I would not want to say certain things. I will not say certain things because as members of the Security Committee, Defense and Interior, we are required to be very, very careful when we make statements because we are privy to information that not everybody is supposed to be privy to. But what I can say is that the Boko conflict escalated under the watch of President Akufo-Addo. At the moment, we are trying to manage the Boko conflict in a manner that will result in what? Lasting peace to the people of Boko. Mr. Speaker, that said, when I listen to Reverend Ntim Fojo, he says they try to read through the security services and the NDC members of parliament. Mr. Speaker, how did we oppose them? In 2024, President Akufo-Addo in his State of the Nation address indicated that they were going to read through the security services, and we all applauded him. But when the time for action came, they failed miserably. I'll give you an example, Mr. Speaker. President Akufo-Addo ordered that we procure 6 fighter jets for the Air Force. This House supported the deal. We supported the deal. Look at the hazard. Look at the hazard. Look at the hazard. We supported the deal. But where are the jets? Where are the jets? How did the deal end? Mr. Speaker, that deal did not go through because of the reckless management of this country's economy by President Akufo-Addo and his cousin, Ken Ofori-Atta, who led this country into a debt restructuring scenario. And because we are undergoing debt restructuring, the facility we took from the Czech Republic just didn't work, and so the jets never came. Whose fault is it that the jets never came? And now my ranking member, Mr. Speaker, is asking us to tell him where the fighter jets find expression in this budget. We should be asking you to tell us where the jets are. We should be asking you. When you spoke about the offshore patrol vessels, Mr. Speaker, an agreement, loan transaction was brought before this House just before the 8th Parliament dissolved. But you know, as members of Parliament, we are required to do due diligence. And so without our prompting, even the one who brought the transaction before this August House, the Honorable Minister for Defense, was willing to withdraw the same loan agreement, and that was exactly what happened. So today, Mr. Speaker, if we have brought back the same transaction, budgeted for it, procure 2 offshore patrol vessels so that we can properly manage our exclusive economic zone, protect our oil resources which are embedded in the belly of the ocean. I think the least my ranking can do is to lend us support, but not to refer us back to the situation whereby they attempted to rush this House into passing a loan agreement which was worth over 200 million euros. You didn't want us to do due diligence? I think one of the principal objectives of every member of parliament is to do due diligence and save the country money when financial transactions are brought before us. And that is what we shall do even with respect to this particular. Mr. Speaker, like I said before, so far my colleagues have all spoken from the same hymn sheet. The impression has been created that rather than retool the security services, the NDC government is intent on buying luxury jets. Mr. Speaker, this is a fallacy. This is a fallacy. The Air Force, and my ranking member knows, they have their critical requirements, critical needs. In fact, the Air Force ought to beef up its strategic lift capabilities. And in doing so, it is not just about a presidential jet, Mr. Speaker. It is about acquiring transport jets that can be used for medical evacuation, that can be used to transport our troops to peacekeeping operations. Mr. Speaker, the last time, as a country, is it not a disgrace that whenever we are sending our troops to peace operation theaters, we would have to hire airlines, private airlines such as Emirates, Egypt Air, to transport our troops to peace operations theaters? That is how serious the situation is. And so, Mr. Speaker, when you find in this budget the finance minister's submission that we shall acquire 2 aircraft, one for medium transport functions and the other for long-range transport operations.
Please, those standing should resume their seat. Honorable Kabiro, you can turn your back to the maze. Yes, you have the floor.
Mr. Speaker, so when you find an expression in the budget made by the finance minister to the effect that we shall procure 1 medium-range transport aircraft and another long-range jet, it doesn't mean we are buying luxurious jets for the president. In any case, Mr. Speaker, why are they even running away from the issue of the acquisition of presidential jets, assuming without admitting that one of the jets is a presidential jet? Why? Why did President Kufuor not procure the Dassault Falcon 300? When President Kufuor acquired it, did he ever sit in that jet as president for 1 day? No. I ask you the question. Did he ever sit in it for 1 single day? No. He did not. He did not. He did not. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. The first time this country acquired a transport jet for transporting VVIPs was in 1962 by the then president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. We used it, this country used it until 1976, when Kutu Achampong, then head of state, came to the realization that the aircraft President Nkrumah had bought had outlived its usefulness. And so Fokker 28 was procured for this country for VVIP transportation. After Fokker 28, in 1998, the Gulfstream GII was bought by President Rawlings. And in this house, if you read the answer, Mr. Speaker, it was this side of the house, the MPP members of parliament who stood in opposition against the acquisition of the Gulfstream. In fact, President Kufuor refused to have anything to do with the Gulfstream. That was how the Falcon Dassault was acquired. And so today, if we are saying that we would acquire 2 transport aircraft for the Ghana Air Force, it is because it is a requirement of the Air Force itself, and the ranking member knows this. Please, go back and look at the critical requirements of the Air Force. The 4 helicopters that we shall acquire constitutes a critical requirement of the Air Force, Mr. Speaker. And so, I just want to inform my colleagues that when it comes to retooling of our security services, they are the ones who have failed this country. They have failed this country, starting from the time President Akufo-Addo assumed the reins of government in this country. I want to ask you, how many aircraft did he procure for the Air Force? How many? How many? Not even one. Not even one. Not even one. Now, my colleague also spoke about the Ministry of the Interior. He says he has gone through the budget, has not seen anything in terms of capex for the Ministry of the Interior. Mr. Speaker, with the greatest of respect, the Reverend Intim Fojo has not read the budget well. I would appeal to him to take pains and read the budget. And if he does so, Mr. Speaker, he will find that at page 166, Mr. Speaker, at page 166, you find that under the Ministry of the Interior, allocation has been made in terms of capex for the acquisition of 100 firefighting machines, 100 fire tenders. That is capex under the Ministry of the Interior.
James Agaga, I'll pause your time. Take note. Yes, Minority Leader.
An excerpt from the floor of the House as the debates continue will take us on to our very first break. When we return, we have a bit more for you here on News Central. Please stay with us.
Why are more and more professionals choosing Flamingo paint?
As an interior decorator, I aim for that beautiful, elegant look. Flamingo paint has great hiding ability to cover and transform old walls easily with just one coat.
Impressive. For me, as a professional painter, I love Flamingo paint because it gets small paints that paint huge area, meaning more profit for me. Great value for money.
As an architect, Flamingo paint, with its well-researched and solid composition, guarantees durability for all my buildings.
Flamingo paint, superior hiding, superior coverage, superior durability. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
In the beginning, life feels heavy. But then, hope arrives. Star 446# saves you in the Dewa Chop Money Draw at 10 a.m.
Congratulations!
Give your dream a chance. Even better, like life.
Hospital authorities say the increasing number of premature babies is putting immense pressure on the already congested pediatric and neonatal unit. They are urgently appealing for the expansion of the facility to ensure quality care for mothers and newborns.
The Menchia District Hospital continues to serve hundreds of mothers and babies monthly, but its pediatric and neonatal wings are struggling to cope. Health workers say the rate of preterm birth at the facility has been steadily rising, pushing the already limited space to its breaking point.
Preterm rate is increasing for some reason. I mean, the reasons for which children will be born preterm are increasing. Hypertensive disorders of pregnancy is on the high side, infections, antepartum hemorrhage. These are all things that will make a pregnancy end prematurely. Those things sort of are increasing, and also now because of artificial assisted reproductive techniques, children are being born prematurely. But the space we have truly is not enough.
The lack of space is said to also increase risk of infection and reduces the number of babies the hospital can admit at a time.
And for preterm babies, they stay longer on the ward. Unlike other babies who may spend a few days, 3 days, 5 days, 1 week, they spend much more time. So they don't leave for others to go. They occupy the beds and then they keep longer. So even the smaller space we have already, in real terms, also is not even available for new entrants. So space is a big problem here.
At a debate to raise awareness on preterm birth, management highlighted the urgent need for expanded neonatal care at the facility. The event was also used to educate the public on the causes of prematurity, the medical needs of preterm infants, and the essential role early medical intervention plays in improving survival rates.
Take you to the Volta region right now because tension is mounting in the whole Zongo community following the installation of Alhaji Muniru Ali as a leader of one of two feeding groups as the Volta regional chief imam. The installation, which took place earlier this month, has reignited tensions within the Zongo community, with some residents accusing leading government officials of undue interference. Let's take you there right now. Faisal Abdul Idris is my colleague and get an understanding as to exactly what's happening. Faisal, thank you very much for joining us. Try and help us understand what really is playing out in the Zongo community and how the latest issue is affecting the office of the Volta Regional Chief Imam. We'll connect with Faisal shortly, but let's hear from one of the parties involved in this. I've been speaking to him to get an understanding in one breath before Faisal joins us.
And welcome also Chief Imam.
May Allah continue to keep our town safe. We pray for our father, the National Chief Imam. May Allah strengthen him. May Allah has already given him the wisdom. May Allah prolong his life. May Allah prolong his life. We are also praying for our traditional father, Dagubumafia Togwe Apede the 14th. May Allah continue to bless and guide him. Minister, we also want to take this opportunity to make an appeal. We have a lot of youth among us. I mean, there is opportunity, job opportunity. I know a lot of opportunities are coming up. We also take advantage, but if there is any facilitation, please, we'll be calling on you.
Let's connect with Faisal, this time via the phone lines. Faisal, thank you very much for joining us. Give us a background as to this person, this individual who appears to be causing quite the tension in the Zongo community, and why there's tension even in the first place.
So, Mawena, right after the demise of Alhaji Imoro, who was the then original chief imam, then the confrontation started between two feuding groups. One led by the deputy regional chief imam, who deputized the late chief imam, and then another by one of his nephews. That issue has traveled since 2019. It has been in and out of court several times. There were conversations at the office of the National Chief Imam with the involvement of traditional leaders from the traditional area. We have seen pockets of violence, confrontations at the mosque, leading to the subsequent closure of the whole central mosque for more than a year. Just this month, the beginning of this month, the National Chief Imam was in court to install Al-Haji Muniru Ali, who is actually known to be a nephew to the late Regional Chief Imam, as the Volta Regional Chief Imam, the new Volta Regional Chief Imam. We thought that this would have put to an end the conflict around who succeeds the late Chief Imam that passed in 2019. But it is emerging again that the other faction is in disagreement with the installation. They are saying that the installation is actually influenced by some key leading members of the National Democratic Congress, including members, officials of the Voter Regional Coordinating Council. As I speak to you, they are threatening not to allow the new Voter Regional Chief Imam perform any congregational prayers at the Central Mosque at the whole Zongo. 2 days ago, they were at the mosque. Yesterday, they addressed the press on this very development. Let's listen to Abdul Razak, who actually addressed the press on this development.
Faisal, we've listened to it, but I see that there was a meeting with the regional minister as well. Is he aware of these simmering tensions? What's the course of action they are seeking to take to ensure peace reigns?
The Volta Regional Minister is aware. I engaged him personally yesterday, and he indicated that he is aware of the happenings. What he stated clearly is the fact that the answers to questions we are asking should be directed to the office of the National Chief Imam. He also cleared the air that he has no hands in selecting who was made the Volta Regional Chief Imam, and that these are purely religious matters and that he has no role in it. So the accusations towards the Volta Regional Coordinating Council, and particularly him as the regional minister, are founded and that he has no hands in this regard. What I can state, however, is that this matter, like I stated, has been in and out of court. And so the Municipal Security Committee has been involved over the year. And of course, the Regional Security Council is aware. And so I'm sure now that this is emerging again, they will take keen interest in ensuring that peace is restored to the Zongo.
Right, Faisal, thank you. Let's listen to the man in the question of these tensions speak to some of the matters you've been explaining.
Matters of religious leadership should be addressed with humility, respect for tradition, and strict adherence to due process. Political involvement in such issue threatening the unity, stability, and peace of the community. We therefore appeal to the regional and national leadership of the NDC as well as state authorities to intervene properly to restore calm and ensure that fairness prevail in the ongoing imamship process. We, the members of the whole Central Zongo, vow to challenge the decision with our last drop of blood to resist any attempt by the so-called Volta Chief Imam, Alhaji Muniru, to organize any prayer or leading any congregation on behalf of Muslims community because we did not recognize the said person as Volta Regional Chief Imam.
And obviously, the people not excited, but we wait to see what becomes the outcome of all of these conversations. That will take us on to another break. When we return, we take the show home. Stay with us. Finally, as temperatures rise in the lead-up to the Harmattan season, many people will spend long hours in air-conditioned rooms to stay cool. Health experts warn that extended exposure and inappropriate use of air conditioners can suppress the drinking of water, leading to mild dehydration, dry skin, and other health complications. Christian Odro Okra, Father's Report.
Air conditioners have become an everyday necessity, especially in cities with modern designs, which does not allow enough ventilation. According to the Center for Energy, Environment and Sustainable Development, 19% of households in Ghana use air conditioners. Doctors argue, while the use of air conditioners alone may not be harmful, extended exposure for at least 8 hours can lead to complications.
Some people who stay in ACs around the clock may have what we call the sick building syndrome, where they have constant lethargy, that they are feeling weak all the time, have a headache and flu-like symptoms. So what we advise is that apart from setting your temperature not too low, you also stay in the AC for a certain minimum amount of time, about 8 hours, and then you can turn it off and then open the windows for more fresh air to come in. What I would like to say is that whilst ACs are beneficial, we also need to understand that they have detrimental effects, and so we need to use it adequately so that we can get the benefits whilst avoiding the ill effects.
Dr. Aminatu Mohammed said temperature should not be set below 20 degrees as exposure to excessive cold or dry air can lead to dehydration, cold and muscle stiffness.
The temperatures need to be set so that you reap the benefits whilst avoiding the ill effects. Ideally, we don't recommend setting the temperatures below 20 degrees because lower temperatures have a tendency to dry your skin, dry your mucous membrane, so you can have dry eyes, dry throat, and then dry airway passages.
General Manager of Somotas Ghana Limited, Shivesh Srivastava, also recommend regular cleaning and moderate use as key to safe and efficient cooling.
There are two major things which we need to take care. As I said, the temperature setting has to be 24, and the second very important thing is that it's very easy to clean the filter. You can do it yourself. Every month or on a periodic time, you can just take the filter out, wash it with the water and put it back. So these two things can take care of any of the problem which might arise health-wise.
He said although new technology has come to improve the makeup of air conditioners, they must be used appropriately. One thing is clear, though in the wake of global warming and mounting heat wave, engineers must strive to design more eco-friendly homes to reduce the overdependence on air conditioners.
So a bit of a caution, drink as much water as you can, I should say, even in the Harmattan period whilst you stay cool and dry. That's our bulletin for this week. I am Mawina Egbeta. Many thanks for watching. A lot more news if you log on to 3news.com. We're back again on Monday. Thank you.